GNT show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. These are the voyages of the GNT show. Our continuing mission to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to bold we got where no show has gone before. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the G&T Show, episode 251. I'm Terry Lynn, and across the table is the man and the mystery, Gettysburg 7.
Jolan True, bitches, for Michael Hinman. It is September 11th, 2016. And across the table from me in her bell bottoms with her plaid shirt with butterflies, it's Terry Lynn Brady.
I am not of the body.
You are of the body. To my left, your right, there's Terry Lynn. Now I'm going to go to my right, your left. There he is, wearing his Klingon armor, but with a funky headband because he is Johnny Bravo. It's Ceridian Brady.
Kapla. And happy birthday, Terry.
Thank you.
I was going to get to the fucking...
Johnny Bravo, though, dude. Good, nice pull.
Thank you. Across the table, there he is, sitting at his architect's table, shaking his head at the shenanigans. It's Alan Brady.
Good morning.
Not to be confused with the Alan Brady from the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah, I was just thinking
Alan Brady, Alan.
And there you heard her. She's our Jewish representative for the family. It's Jespa Brady in her maid uniform.
Marsha.
She's going bowling with Sam after.
Oh, my nose.
You know,
Mom
bowling,
always
we
said don't play ball
bowling,
in the
but
house.
we meant something else.
Oh, Sam was slipping her the discount meat like you wouldn't believe.
You know, that's how it was all affordable. Alice was doing it on the side.
You know it.
You do know it.
And then, of course, Steve isn't here, but he's the cousin Oliver of the show.
Oh, man.
That haircut. That haircut.
The John Denver haircut.
What about David Cassidy?
Oh, don't tease me. That's David Cassidy as if Kerwin were to stop by.
There you go.
No, it was Davy Jones.
Was it Dave? Well, it's David
was
Cassidy,
Davy
too,
Jones.
wasn't it?
No. That would have been a crossing
David
of the
Cassidy.
streams.
Yeah. Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But they did have Joe Namath stop
They did.
by.
Yeah,
And they
Davy
had
Jones.
who was the first baseman for the Dodgers? Alan.
What was the question? I wasn't listening.
First baseman for the Dodgers, late 60s, early 70s. Was always on TV.
He was on
Was
Brady
it Garvey?
Yeah, no, not Garvey. Garvey was the
No.
80s.
Shit. I can't think of it right off the top of my head.
I have no idea. I seriously
that-
don't remember.
You know that fucking, what's his name is already, Matthew Anderson's already
He's on it.
Googling it.
He's like a wet napkin.
I don't think he's here.
Steve Garvey.
No, it wasn't
No?
Steve Garvey.
This is according to Dodgers Infield of the 70s article in the LA Times.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Ron Say. Was it Garvey? Who am I?
Garvey,
Yeah,
Garvey's
think
at
it
first
was.
place.
it was Garvey then. Well, who was the guy in the 80s? Who was the first baseman in the 80s that was all beautiful? Alan? What, were you just doing coke like mad during those years?
It was
was
the 80s
in-
after all.
Wait, well, it was the 80s, right? He was at school.
Yeah, I was in school. I was socially inept back then.
You were not socially inept. Dude, you were in theater.
Oh, this is cute.
No, I was busy. I didn't have a social life.
That's what I
because was
meant.
too
You were
busy.
just in school. You guys were doing shows and rehearsing, and it's not like you went to baseball games.
Yeah, but he still followed, right?
Hmm?
I was
Yeah, but-
poor. I didn't even have a newspaper back then. And yes, then we had newspapers to find out what happened in the world.
Oh,
That's true.
Remember they would have the late edition because of the sports scores.
Oh
Would do
God!
the-
Thank
the
God for
late
San Francisco. You had the Star editions, the San Francisco Cron. It was the Cron, or was it the Examiner? It was the Examiner. In San Francisco, the Examiner had 5 stars. Alan, it came out with 5
okay.
editions every day.
Yeah.
So you had the morning edition. So you knew what time of day it was by looking at the edition on your paper.
Yeah.
So if it was the 1 star, it was the first morning edition. The 2 star, it was like the 7 or 8 o'clock edition. It was 11. It was just what was out at the newsstands at that time, and everybody you knew you were okay if you had the 5-star edition on the train on the way home.
That was like the
full day's news.
The Twitter updates of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't like the paper changed all that much. It was just a couple of little things on the front page. But
That
you always
sports scores.
Yeah, exactly. Sports scores.
Because that's when they play baseball during the day.
It was fun. Well, we're already in the midst
before we begin, there's something very important that we must tend to.
Oh.
Mikey already ruined it, but I think we must all...
he didn't ruin it.
We must all wish Terry a happy 49th birthday?
Yeah, 49th.
49th birthday. Or is it 50? Is it 49 or 50?
It's actually 52.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because we were doing this show when you turned 47.
Yeah. We were. We've been doing this for 5 years, hon.
I'm going to go lay down now.
Episode 251, remember, divided by the number of weeks, that's 5 years.
Well, we
Carry the 14.
Yeah, 52. I am 2 years older than Star Trek. Well, 1 year and 362 days.
Stop it. Now you're infringing into math big time.
So, yeah.
I was told there would be no
thanks,
math.
everybody. Yeah, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's going to be a day of pretty much, for my birthday, all I wanted was, I just want to sit, do nothing, play some video games, and maybe do a little laundry, and go to bed at a reasonable hour.
You're living on the edge.
Midnight Shadow. I'm getting Slash for my birthday. Love it. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
What did you do this week? Coffee Clutch.
We missed you last week, Nick. We were sorry you couldn't make it.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I had job things to attend to that came up at the last moment, and that's what happens when you get a new commanding general.
Yes, it is. And that's why I expressed my disappointment, and then I got over it. I have to vent, and then I'm over it. So thank you for putting up with my mini vent. I was sad you weren't there.
That was a vent?
Yeah, it really was.
That was like the lamest vent ever then.
I know. It wasn't like, what am I supposed to do? I couldn't get mad at you. Get mad at the dirt, Carol Ann. Get mad at the dirt.
Carol Ann.
So
there's a reference there.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
So yay, let's get to it. So Nick, what did you do this week?
I worked.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question, and I know it belongs in gaming news, but Mike, how long is this current event going on in Stowe?
Events usually run Thursday through Monday. So Monday morning, I believe 10 Eastern. So noon. I think it ends at noon.
No.
Eastern.
The Mirror Universe Incursion event.
They usually last 30 days.
But I don't know when
days.
it started.
Oh, it couldn't have started. It had to have been this weekend. Is it on?
No, it's been going on during the week.
The Stowe event. Sorry, I wasn't. That I've already completed it on one character.
Oh,
so it's already been going on for at least 14 or 15 days.
Okay,
God damn it.
It
Okay,
ends on
I'm with you. I
15th.
missed it.
Fuck, I'm not gonna make it. Okay, thank you, Leggett.
Yeah, that's me too. I have 2 characters where I've got unfinished Mirror Universe projects from the last time.
Yeah.
Shit. Oh well. Damn it all to hell.
All right.
So.
Well, hey, thank you for that, Midnight Shadow.
I know he's all.
What's with Steve being all randy today?
I don't know. He's been posting porn for maybe, I don't know.
I know. Somebody put a little Viagra in his porridge.
Something in the crumpets, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, whoa.
Hey, Johnny Snowball's here. Miss Janet, what did you do this week?
Oh, I spent the 50th getting X-rayed. Actually, very exciting.
Swallow trouble.
Pretty much. Mission New York was wonderful, but I have knee problems, and they felt worse. So I go to the ortho gal who actually is like orthopedist to all the local sports stars.
Yeah.
And so we have a lovely conversation, and then they take a dozen x-rays and find that on the opposite side, because, I can't have it all localized, which would be easier. On the other side, I've got sciatica, and I've got like bone spurs in my spine. So I know this is like an organ recital here, but be that as it may, there's like no good way to sleep. And because one side is the knee, the other side is the hip. So they gave me anti-inflammatories, and I can't take anything else with them. So if I get breakthrough pain, it's like, you shit out of luck. But it also makes you sleepy. So if I'm a little dopey or I can't multitask, that is why. Peroxicam to the rescue.
You're assuming we would notice the difference?
Ba-dum-bum.
This segment brought to you by Peroxicam.
I'm taking it.
Yes, you Peroxicam.
Ask your doctor about Peroxicam.
Side effects include head explosions.
Head explosions, anal leakage.
Anal leakage. That's always one.
Erections lasting more than 4 hours.
And an unnatural attraction to gerbils.
Oh.
Ooh.
Just an
I gotta show you
attraction.
guys.
Just an attraction.
That's just
all.
pushing it too far.
I told you I'm not that quick right now.
My new T-shirt.
I have issues.
That's my new T-shirt I got from Mission New York. I put it in the chat room. The Reika Manuva. It's got a little umlaut over the U. The Reika Manuva.
For our German fans.
So, and Mr.
Why,
Mikey.
Terry, what a big mic you have.
I know, right?
And isn't that Riker in a chicken
Why, thank you.
suit?
What's that? Isn't that
It's Riker in a chicken suit.
Kind of, pretty much. Riker in a chicken suit. And it's just him throwing that leg over the chair. Mikey, what'd you do this week?
What didn't I do? Played a bunch of games. Timelines, Transformers, Stowe. In Stowe, I finished the Temporal Agent, all 85 plus tasks. So my Temporal Agent is done. And since then, I've gone through and I've been playing, going through and on every single one of my characters, I've been going through and doing DOF missions, grinding out dilithium and other things. So I'm trying to get up a dilithium stockpile. I've reconfigured some characters, so I might actually be playing more than one character in the near future. Let's see, what else have I been doing? I got a photo from the commission back from J.K. Woodward.
Yes, you did. Holy crap.
Yes, that is
amazing?
spectacular.
Yes, it is beautiful.
It's amazing.
I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. I could not have been happier, and I'll share it once again to the chat room. Go ahead.
I was just looking at what Steve's posting a bunch of it. I love that photo. That's great. Thank you, James. Thank you, James Woodward.
Thank you very much.
It's really beautiful.
It is beautiful.
So, yeah. And what else, Mikey?
Just a lot of gaming. That's pretty much it.
Terry, the trill.
I know. Well, we told them to make me trill just because it would. I'm just not a Vulcan. I don't see myself as being Vulcan.
No, and I've got the pointed ears, so.
Yeah. And so but it was still like the
Should have made
Federation.
you a benzite.
Yeah, with a little thing.
Yeah.
You breathe it like a snort their air. I like it. Yeah, no. I wanted something that my hair wouldn't have to be all messed up for it.
Yeah.
Trill worked.
Could have been Andorian.
I
antenna.
almost went with Andorian, but Trill just sounded fun.
Chicks dig the antennae.
I love Andorians. I always have.
It's
I
the
like
blue.
yeah, it's the blue, and I
Yeah,
can't
but
help
it's
it,
fun
but
to see it just go all the way
transcends
down.
Oh, thank you, Steve. So yay, and Mr. Kojiro, what did you do this week?
I struggled to get work done, but I spent a couple hours kayaking on the Rio Grande.
Yes, you did. They
And
went
that was
out.
fun.
I was kind of jealous. Even though the water level's super, super, super low, you guys seem to
Yeah,
have
every
had a
time
good
my
time.
paddle went in the water, I was squeezing the bottom.
Jeez, that's
The
crazy.
Rio Grande is not a very deep river.
It's a big creek, everybody.
I was shocked the first time I saw it because you thinking it's
A river.
and then it's I pee more than that has in it.
It's a river by Western standards. It is not a river by
Yeah.
Eastern standards. If you've ever seen the Mississippi, now that's a fucking river.
Yes.
We have a
Yes.
creek. We have a creek.
Well, now wait
Even
a
the
minute. We
Pecos
have
is
big
tiny.
rivers in the Northwest too.
Do they keep on
You
rolling?
do. The Columbia and the
They do.
Snake, and yeah, they have real rivers up there too.
We
We
do.
don't have 'em here.
It's the Southwest that doesn't really have.
That
them.
is
Yeah.
correct.
I did do something this week that potentially could have an impact on the show.
Oh,
Mm.
I saw some openings in my career field that I had to apply for, otherwise I would not have forgiven myself.
okay.
One is in Japan,
Cool.
one is in Sicily,
Wow.
and two
Neat.
are in Germany.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Very cool.
Yeah, I had to, especially the Japan one.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
could I tell the missus though that I'm leaving her behind so I can be in Japan by myself?
I don't think that's gonna work.
No, I don't either.
It's a good thing you're saying it on a podcast
Yeah,
where
on a
nobody can hear
podcast.
it.
In the
Nobody will ever
She
hear
doesn't
it.
listen. She doesn't listen. It's okay.
Oh my god. Well, I guess we should move forward. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. Janet and I are going to have a lot to talk about. So I want to kind of deal with some of the news that is coming out, but we do want to talk about Mission New York.
Fun! Convention news.
And that was the convention that we attended last week. So a lot of the links that we have available to discuss this week, we're actually going to have in the show notes, everybody, but we may not necessarily touch on. So a lot of the general news is we need to talk about that. The unofficial productions, we will be posting those on our show notes, with the exception of real quick, in a very quick semantic shenanigans kind of way. Miss Janet, what's going on with the Axonar lawsuit?
Uh-oh, you're in trouble. Semantic shenanigans.
Very quick. I know that subpoenas have gone out for depositions, and everybody knows subpoena is a fun word to say. But anyway, subpoena, and fun to spell. So anyway, bottom line is that both sides are. I mean, they've been in the thick of discovery for quite a while. That's the thing I think people need to understand, is that even though we're getting the subpoena for depositions now, doesn't mean that documents haven't been exchanged before, and in fact they probably were, simply because that's how you figure out who you want to subpoena, because for depositions are kind of expensive. Most likely what will happen is they will give people travel money. They'll come over to California, and they'll put them up for a day or two, question the hell out of them, and send them home.
Mm-hmm.
What will they be asked? Well, they'll be asked whatever it is believed they know about. If they are asked to bring documents with them, they will, and that can include electronic documents, of course. They will be asked the nature of those documents, how they were made, what alterations have been made to them, how you can authenticate them and say, well, this is what the real copy is, this has not been tampered with, so that all that stuff ends up on a record and has been sworn to.
Right.
That's really what's going on. Will we see any of the pages of these depositions? If they become exhibits in future motions, yes. If we see trial documents, which sort of is kind of iffy, maybe not, we might see them then. Otherwise, we're probably not going to hear too much about this unless the parties themselves make this stuff public. And their counsel, if their counsel is competent, will be telling them, don't do that.
Especially since, well, at least with the parties themselves, both the plaintiffs and the defendants have already entered into a stipulation to keep those private matters private, to keep to essentially keep those discovery responses non-public.
Yeah, because after all, they can include all sorts of private stuff, including things like Alex's address and his social could be on some of this.
Exactly, the social security numbers, bank account numbers, all of those things could be on documents, and that really isn't for public consumption.
Yeah, so this is for his protection. It's also for CBS and Paramount's protection, because
Absolutely.
if any of their stuff is considered trade secret or otherwise private, then they get a chance to keep it private as well. Anybody who violates these agreements is going to find bad things happening to them. Now, the ancillary personnel, the folks who've been subpoenaed but who are not parties, they don't have such restrictions. But if they are intelligent people, and I'm sure that they are, they have contacted counsel, because you should have your own independent counsel probably with you. Would be a very good idea. It's not a good idea to just saunter into a deposition room
because
without counsel.
And there's the other thing, because even though there's been a quote unquote a timeline to name Doe defendants, if additional evidence comes forward that other people need to be added, that right is always there.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't waive their right to sue anybody. So guess what? If you say something, and by the way, also, on the criminal side, if you say something that's incriminating, guess what? It's a sworn statement.
Right.
So you need your lawyer with you to kick you in the ankle and say,
you need to take the fifth.
The last thing you want is Jack McCoy coming after you.
Is just stop and we're going to take a break now and to take the client out of the room and say, okay, you need to
think seriously.
The fifth doesn't apply to civil cases, I might add. You keep that in mind. But if a criminal matter could be opened up, and by that I mean criminal fraud.
Huh?
What? Okay, if you could open up any sort of a criminal matter with something like this, then yes. Whoa. See, Casey.
Oh, that's Casey taking the fifth.
No, that was Chloe. She's pissed about something.
Well, if you
could
open up any sort of a criminal inquiry, then your lawyer, if they've got any intelligence at all, is going to tell you stop. And we're going to, we can discuss this later, but we're not going to talk about it now. Nothing wrong with that. But if it's purely a civil case, you can't take the fifth. You've got to answer their questions.
Serious question about this. Isn't the civil case and the deposition and everything, isn't that in the movie The Social Network? That's what they were doing, taking his deposition, right?
I never saw that film.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, it was. It is. It's testimony.
I don't watch movies.
Yeah, depositions are sworn testimony, just as it would be if you were sitting in court. It's just that you're not doing it in front of the judge. So there's nobody there to make any rulings with regards to objections on certain questions that are being asked by counsel. However, those objections are placed on the record in order for the judge to make that consideration at trial should it be necessary. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yes. And one more
I said
thing.
the 13th, Matthew.
Okay. The 13th is the end.
And it was a joke.
Okay. And just one more thing about the depositions is that if, heaven forbid, knock wood, anybody becomes incapacitated or passes away before trial, a deposition can be entered into evidence as their testimony instead of them.
Yep. That's exactly right. It's considered to be legitimate sworn testimony for court, for trial. And then it can be just entered in as evidence for the jury to go over, minus whatever questions have already been objected to and sustained by the judge.
Yep.
So it's going to be very interesting. These depositions are due to occur in November, I believe. That's what, at least what I'm hearing. And
November.
But yeah.
Any thoughts on the PropWorks mass emails?
Yeah. Okay. So what also happened is that they took their mailing list from Axonar and they sent a mass mailing to PropWorks saying, "Hey, we're going to have an auction, yada yada yada." Well, the problem with doing that is that guess what? It's considered spam under the Canned Spam Act. Furthermore, it creates another paradox because if the companies are related to each other, and I don't just mean by the ownership by Mr. Peters, that's actually not enough for quote unquote a relationship. If the companies are truly related, then it gets around the Canned Spam Act. But if they are truly related, then guess what? It opens up discovery in the case because then CBS and Paramount can come in and say, hey, look at that, commingled funds between these two companies.
Jesus Christ.
And yes,
Is there
we've heard about
anything?
that.
Well, I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. I have to. I really do. I just have to. I just have to kind of roll my eyes and go. This is a perfect example of being your own lawyer is a bad thing.
Yes. Yeah, let me tell you, if I was in trouble, I wouldn't be representing myself. Fuck no. I would never
Represent
do
me,
that.
So you're telling me what they did is PropWorks sent out a mass email using the mailing list from Axonar?
That's my understanding. I mean, yeah, so you can see all the commingling that's gone on here. Where they move
I was going to say,
around.
did PropWorks pay Axonar for the mailing list? Wouldn't that just be right up this whole case's alley?
Yeah, exactly. Where we move numbers around, where we move money around, where we move props around.
Oh, PF
where
Dennis, I need more coffee too because this is so amazing. Wow, I didn't know that. I mean, we're just now, mind you, I just kind of put it out there that maybe PropWorks paid Axonar for the mailing list. Chances are there was no money exchanged for this. They just
paid
used
$1.
it. Yeah, but yeah.
Yes.
You just have to roll your eyes and go, Jesus Christ! This is basic. This is basic shit, people.
This isn't actually surprising. I mean, several months ago, Alec had made a statement, something to the effect that the mailing list was one of the important things from the whole fundraiser that he was very protective of.
With regard to everybody else but him. Got it.
What?
He's protecting it from everybody else but himself.
Oh, yeah.
Well, mailing lists are valuable things.
Yes, they are.
And I mean, look, from a strictly marketing standpoint, he's right in the sense that the people who are on the Axonar mailing list are going to be prime, market. Thank you. I'm thinking audience, wrong word. They're a prime market for these auctions. Yeah, gold star on that one. Except the problem is you're fucking being sued.
Yeah.
And the other problem is that you did this without anybody's permission. People signed up for a mailing list for Axonar. They did not sign up for a mailing list from PropWorks. If you can't keep these companies straight, guess what? You know something? Just Klausner can do it for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, that's interesting. So, when is trial set for again?
I think it's isn't it January?
Is it January? Well, that's about right.
Yeah, I think we've stretched it out into January.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's about right. Where so the depots will be done. I have a feeling we're gonna get a pushback on trial. I just do. I don't see it happening in July. I just don't. If depots go in November,
Steve has.
Then you know what they're gonna do. There's going to be an MSJ in there somewhere.
Oh, well, yeah, probably a few.
And so that'll push everything back. I don't think that. Yeah, I think we're going to see it.
Steve just said the email was titled "Axonar Donors Invited." The PropWorks 50 Years of Star Trek auction. It was an invite from Axonar.
That's interesting too. So it's still. I think we can still call it commingling. I mean, this is so closely related. It's just way too incestuous here.
I guess it's just did the donors of Axonar think that their mailing list was going to be used for marketing for other things? I don't know.
Guess what? It is.
So then, is there really a COA? Is there really anything that they can complain about in getting these emails?
Well, I don't think. I mean, look, even if they do complain, I'm not seeing where it's going to be. It's going to do them a hell of a lot of good, but it's yet another thing to put in front of the judge, in an effort to prove that there's a commingling of funds going on, that there's an enormous need for an accounting here if it hasn't happened yet, and that there's just it's just all well, it's also the big thing, which is in the complaint, which is the phrase personal financial benefit.
Yeah. Interesting, very interesting. The case continues, and it's not going away no matter what we thought we might have heard 4 months ago.
Remember that?
What was that again? Yeah.
And so it continues to go forward. So there you have it, folks. The depots will be occurring probably like I said, I heard in November. So that's both sides. It's not just going to be Alec and everybody who are going to be deposed. It's going to be the percipient witnesses, CBS personnel, and anybody from involved in the
Jay, I want to go so that I can have
Dude,
a
would
sign
you? I
that
would
says,
love
like,
to be a fly on the wall for these. I
no,
really
I would love to go and just have like a sign, like at a wrestling match. It says like JVC, we love you, or JVC, you and me, something like that.
Yeah, that's why they don't allow the public to these things.
See, I want to come out of retirement and just conduct this. Were you aware of what your money was being used for, sir?
Oh man.
Or be there when they do somebody from the other side and be like doing a, you fucked up, you fucked up, you fucked up.
I see, and now and it's also probably one of the reasons why I have a feeling this trial would not be open to the public. I think that Klausner would shut the door.
That would be. Oh, can you imagine all the Trekkies that would show up?
Shit. Yeah, I would. Oh, okay. We need to move on.
Let's move on.
So,
while they're having a sidebar, we're doing the wave.
We do need to move on. Mr. Ceridium.
Yes.
Yes. He's like, he always gets so nervous when I call him out. We have some really amazing links with regards to G&T Show and BLB Productions. Let's talk about those.
I have something to say. Announcements.
Oh, we're not going to save them for announcements at the end of the show?
We can just touch on them real quick. Because this is important, all right?
Does it involve Evie or Avery?
No.
Oh. Does it involve Avery?
No.
No.
Is it related to the musical theater?
It could be if we sang about them.
There you go.
STLV's interview with John and Bijo Trimble. The interview is out on our site, so check that out. Product news roundup for August, that is also on our site. Fan Dance, the timeline celebrates Trek's 50th anniversary. That's there too, which talks about everything that Timelines did. The J.K. Woodward Commission from STLV, if you want to check that out, that's there as well. And Terry's Mission New York report card, I guess is what
it was a report card. Yeah.
So from that,
and we'll be talking more about that in a bit. But yeah, if you want to read about it, it's there.
And then finally, the first Star Trek Mission New York interview with regarding Star Trek Bridge Cruise. That is also on the site. So there's
I will be talking about that as well. Yeah. So cool. Thank you, Mikey. We also really want to talk about some book news.
Tell me a Star Trek story. Book news.
and I can throw some stuff in there too. The first link that we have is from our friends over at the Trek Collective, going through the Discovery comics and novels to launch beside the TV series. This is also something that was announced at Mission New York, which we are very, very happy about.
David
Mack is going to be responsible for the novels side of things.
And isn't it Mike Johnson?
Yeah, from IDW Comics, I believe, who will be responsible for the comics side of things. These are going to be publications that will be going out along with the launch of Star Trek Discovery.
And if Kirsten Beyer doesn't wear enough hats already,
oh shit, tell me about it.
She's the one that's going to be coordinating with Mac and Johnson on this.
So they will get the story information from Kirsten. Kirsten will be the liaison between the staff writers or the writers' room and the novels and the comics.
So just to keep, for those at home keeping score, Kirsten is a Star Trek Voyager novel writer.
Yep.
She is a Star Trek Discovery episode writer.
Yep.
And now she is supplemental content coordinator, I guess, is one way to kind of describe this new role.
I would say so. I don't know what the title is per se, if there even is one. I just know that she's acting like a liaison between the show and the publishers. So I think it's
pretty cool, though.
It's cool. Yeah, I'm going to actually upload a picture of her into the chat room. Hopefully it loads. It's a pretty big picture. And she's so sweet. It was so nice to meet her for the first time. I never really had the chance to meet her in person before. So, by the way, she says hello, and she said that she will be on the show as soon as they allow her to talk.
Great.
Awesome.
I love her to death.
I do too. She's very kind.
Yes, I've been pestering her quite often.
Mike, leave the writer alone.
And Dayton Ward has a tweet about a new travel guide that he finally got to post about. So, yay, we're getting another. By the way, the Vulcan travel guide's hilarious, you guys. If you guys haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. Pick up a copy of it. It's awesome. But now he's going to be doing one that Mike should be really announcing.
Yes, the Klingon Empire.
That's so fun.
So I'm
basically it's like a tour of Detroit.
Yeah, the picture didn't show in the chat room just because it's too big. I took rather large pixel photos, so yay, the Klingon Empire travel guide, and Dayton's going to be writing it, correct?
That's what I understand. I had seen something about it a couple weeks ago. I think it was in.
Didn't you mention it at the convention, Mike?
I don't think so, but I think I saw it in one of Trek Collective's posts, one of their kind of like book roundup things. Might have been from last week. There was I think a small blurb, but I don't think we got to it. But I know I saw it somewhere before this tweet announced it officially. But yeah, I'm excited.
And
stop
yes,
it.
What?
Steve.
Steve's doing something. Oh, I haven't seen it. Ew. Yeah, no, thank you. And yes, we will, Janet.
Okay. Thanks.
After we get through some stuff, and before we talk about other things. So
Okay.
I need more Star Trek stuff. Product news.
Product news again. You guys pay attention to the fan dance when they come out, because we will be discussing a bunch of products that came out. Dear God, once again, I have to reiterate that Star Trek products are exploding. It's awesome. There's a lot of new things that you can get, wonderful things that have come out, especially for the 50th anniversary.
I thought the colored condoms were awesome.
Aren't they? Red, yellow, and
yeah,
blue.
and blue.
Well,
one of these days we're going to get those Klingon vibrators.
You don't want to wear.
Saying. What? When?
You don't want to wear a red one though, because that indicates man down.
Or it indicates you're giving it all she's got.
Oh, there you go.
Uh-huh.
That's true. In the
Wouldn't
sky, in the
you
best
wear
sky,
like command yellow though? I mean, come on.
or if it's really good at communication.
There you go.
Yeah, her wore red. She didn't die either.
Well, some of the, I guess we could mention some of the products that
Sure.
have come out this week, because one of them has gotten me a little excited.
Got you moist?
It's the tulle dress, isn't it?
It's so cute.
I was thinking more along the lines of the Enterprise rocker, but the Bluetooth comm badge, I have to say, I
Yeah.
am so excited for that.
Yeah. There is a release. ThinkGeek is putting out the new Bluetooth TNG comm badge, which you really can click and talk to people through your comm badge.
Same
now.
technology that they got into the tricorder. They've squeezed it into a comm badge.
I think it's so fun. So there's a new rocker. The new comm badge is out. The Roddenberry Vault, by the way, which we didn't really get a chance to talk about after STLV. The Roddenberry Vault is an amazing project. Did you guys hear about this? About the release of the Roddenberry Vault?
Only from putting the blog together.
Okay. Essentially, after Majel Roddenberry's death, Rod and Trevor, had the kind of, melancholy job of going through all of the stuff, right? After your parents die, you've got to go through the stuff. And there was a lot of stuff. And what they found was like 150 film canisters of the original series.
Holy cow.
All of the cutscenes, all of the alternate camera angle shots. I know. All of this amazing, amazing material. Now, not all of the canisters survived. I understood like 30 of them actually did deteriorate beyond repair. But the Okudas had been very, very busy. They brought in the Okudas, the penultimate historians of Star Trek, and they've created the Roddenberry Vault. And now we're going to be getting DVDs of individual episodes of TOS, and along the lines of the original series episode, they're splicing in either the cutscene or the blooper that was interjected in there. And one of the examples that they showed at STLV was this example of what happened at the end of Who Mourns for Adonais, which is at the very end. They actually have film of the cutscene where she announces on the bridge that she's pregnant. And
oh my
she blew out her own microphone.
Oh my God! Wow.
That's not all she blew.
So these are episode changing scenes and things that we either never knew existed or heard rumor that maybe they were, but this is a bunch of stuff. So the Roddenberry Vault, you guys, is this is just a huge project. And I think the first set is only like 13 episodes, Mike. Is that what they're coming out with? I have to look at the article.
I am not sure.
Okay, it's
Thanks, Mike.
I know but there's so many. I mean, it's just the amazing. They haven't even gone through it all.
Now, are the Akudas going to do some kind of intro or something?
What was that?
Are the Akudas going to do some kind of introduction or something?
I don't know. The DVDs or I should say the Blu-rays, I guess, or the DVDs that are coming out, there's going to be 12 episodes. So the initial 12 episodes, but it's my understanding they still have dozens of canisters they haven't even touched yet.
Right.
So this is an amazing stuff that's coming out from CBS Paramount, which is supporting Rod Roddenberry's projects on this. So it's a definitely a nice, it's a labor of love and also a great showing of cooperation between the three companies. So very cool. I just thought everybody should really understand the importance of what the Roddenberry Vault is, and that this never before seen footage really has never been seen before. So it was, let's put it this way. When Dayton Ward was walking out of the panel, I didn't get to see the panel, but when he walked out of the panel, he kind of grabbed my shoulders and he goes, "Holy shit, it's like Star Trek's new all over again." I was like, what? So it's very exciting.
Did you see the Think Geek Corgi track for the 50th?
Yes.
That was so adorable.
I was the little Scotty that just sent me over the moon.
Yes.
Yes, the Scotty. How awesome.
So definitely, guys, a lot of stuff came out for the 50th. So let's just talk about the 50th anniversary. Happy 50th, everybody! Star Trek's 50 years old. I'm very pleased that BBC America has been doing the first 2 seasons marathon. So it's been reliable television where I can just flip on the TV and know that, oh, Star Trek's on. But that's where I watched Space Seed last night.
Yeah,
so.
Explain to me.
Yeah.
Because you explain.
I had always seen the end of it. It was like have you ever seen it's have you ever just there's like one movie or one set of shows or something that you never see the beginning of? It's like, what was it, Alan, that you and I were talking about? I've never seen the very beginning of Ocean's 13. I've always seen the end of it. It's like the same with Space Seed. Space Seed, I always saw the end of it. I never saw it from the beginning. So for me, it was like, oh, now I get the precursor of how they found the ship, and I never saw that dinner scene with that wonderful dialogue between
Terry,
Kirk
don't
and
you
Khan.
have them on DVD?
I do.
So,
but
just go on.
I know.
Just go on. Go on.
But it was there. So we sat down and we watched the whole thing. And I didn't realize, I mean, I always knew that Kirk or that Khan was a douchebag, but I didn't realize it was just, it's a perfect example of what 1960s were like, which is this machismo bullshit attitude, and women were written as stupid twits. And at the end of it, I never understood why MacGyver fell in love with him, and now I still have worse. Now I think twice as ill of her. I'm like, really? You pull out some dusty asshole from 200 years ago, and you automatically fall in love with him? Ew! What's wrong with you? How'd you get into Starfleet? So it was just these 2 guys trying to outdouche each other, and an idiot who fell in love with one of them. I was like, ah! So yeah, that was my tweet. My tweet was, the first time I'd seen it all the way through, and Kirk and Khan are just merely try to outdouche each other, with the exception of that one dinner scene where there's the wonderful kind of back and forth tactical conversation they have. That was brilliantly written. Loved it. So there you have it.
I liked how Kirk and Spock and I believe McCoy are all in their dress uniform, and Scotty and Uhura are not.
Yeah. Well, they didn't make them. They didn't make Scotty and Uhura formal uniforms, right? That was money.
No, because Scotty had one in another episode.
He did? Which one?
Yeah, the
Really?
one where he wore it.
The one where he wore it.
Maybe for the with the Tellarites and Spock's parents. I'm blanking on the name.
Babel?
Yes.
By the
thank
way,
you. That might be it.
So, yeah, I watched the beginning of that one, too. Forgot that Sarek was a dick for the very
Sarek
first
is not you know what? I will not put up with that. Yeah, he did have a kill, Paul. I will not put up with that kind of talk. As a matter of fact, I'm reading Legacies Book 3, and I want Dayton and Kevin to write a book about Sarek because they've got Sarek down.
Do they?
I will not put up with you talking shit about Sarek.
Well, why did he treat him? Why did he ignore him?
Because he's Vulcan.
Yeah, I know.
It's how they are.
Yeah. Okay. Couldn't
And
even acknowledge him?
They also write Amanda very well.
No, that's true. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Discovery, because I understand that there's a rumor that her character might play a role.
In Discovery?
Yeah.
Amanda?
Yep. We'll see.
Speaking of which, do you want to talk about the touchstone thing?
And yeah, let's talk about Star Trek Discovery.
Grab the remote. Star Trek's on. Television news.
Everybody knows it was the 50th anniversary. Do yourself a favor. Go over to our very good friends over at Trek Geeks and listen to the wonderful
Guys are tools.
Listen to those assholes put together this amazing thing for their 50th anniversary, where they did a show, just a recording of everybody's stories about their first exposure to
There you
Star
go,
Trek.
Terry. Midnight Shadow. God.
Yeah,
look at
nice.
Steve.
Thank you very much.
Steve, what episode is that? That looks to be. I'm looking at his hair.
Season 3?
No, I'm thinking 2.
I don't know. So let's talk about Star Trek Discovery. The news that has come out to date is that it's going to be 10 years before the original series. It's going to feature a female lead who is not the captain, and we understand is going to be named number 1. Is that true, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. That it may feature, or that somehow Amanda Grayson's role might be part of it, but not necessarily a focus. That the touchstone of TOS episode was Balance of Terror, correct?
Yes.
That's pretty cool news. I think that's going to be very interesting because Balance of Terror, of course, there's a bunch of people right now who are going, ooh, but we didn't see the Romulans until Balance of Terror, right?
Correct.
So who's to say that, so.
Why do they assume that touchstone means that somebody saw them?
Correct.
Enterprise did a very good job of having the Romulans as part of it without the crew ever seeing them.
Right. And it would be, this is such a unique storyline that it's something that I think that needs to be discussed, because the Romulans become so important to Star Trek on the whole, and the Federation is so important, and this relationship, oddly odd as it is, the relationship between the Romulans and the Federation is so important that, the Romulans made the neutral zone a part of their identity, really. So it had to come from somewhere. If Star Trek Discovery is going to be exploring that relationship, then wahoo. I think that's going to be really, really cool. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but didn't that episode say that the Romulans had been dormant for like 50 years, that they haven't been,
No, that in TNG they did.
Oh, that could have been it then.
When they arrive again, when they show up again in front of Picard, there's a very big thing where they essentially threaten Picard by saying, we're back, that they had pulled into themselves and that they are back. And that they had been, for all intent and purposes, very quiet, that the neutral zone had like zero activity between TOS and TNG. So, but yeah, there's a whole Romulan war that needs to be fought before the original series, and they can't see the Romulans. So if they explore that in the new show, I'm cool with that. Nick, what about you?
Sorry, I was fixing my chair.
Oh.
Yeah, they Mike, you're kind of right. They hadn't heard anything really from them since the treaty was done over subspace radio.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean
that's what I was thinking.
But that doesn't mean that there was no contact. Think of it like all this stuff that we've learned now that happened during the Cold War that we never had any idea about.
Yeah.
Submarine stuff and all of that. So it wouldn't. The whole canon thing doesn't mean that shit didn't happen. It just means they didn't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's very intriguing, and has a lot of potential. I think it has a lot of potential. So I'm more and more intrigued by the new show. I'm looking forward to it. I also have faith in the people who are putting it together. I have faith in Nicholas Meyer. I have faith in Kirsten Beyer. I have faith in Brian Fuller. I have faith in Rod Roddenberry and Trevor Bates. The show's in good hands.
I will have no faith in Mr. Meyer until he comes on our show.
The G&T show pump is real, folks.
I've been trying.
I know you have, Mike, and you know that.
That was one of the conversations with Kirsten, actually.
You know that I don't feel that way. That man could take a dump, and I'd be like, "That is the best."
He was very, very vocal about things at Mission New York. Did you hear his quotes where he said he said he was blunt? He was very, very blunt. There was a woman who came up and she kind of, instead, how some fans are, they don't ask a question, they just spout their opinion about bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman had come up and she was very concerned about whether or not the new show would be blah, 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 right? The whole, the new show's got to be this and it's got to be
Yeah.
that. And he looked right at her and he says, okay, first things up front, fans don't know what's good for them.
Oh, I love him.
Fans don't know what's good for the show.
Yeah.
And he just, he was very blunt and he just kind of did a bunch of fan butt kicking. And it was great. It was really great because he reminded everybody, look, art is not done by committee.
Mm-hmm.
Art is done by, groups of people. If you like it, you like it. And if you don't, go blow it off. Go just, go stick it kind of thing.
Well,
it was great.
What's funny is because there's fans out there like, okay, I joke with him about it, but I know that Mike would love a Klingon show.
Yeah,
and there's a large segment. I don't want to say a large segment, but there's a sizable segment of fans out there
who are very
that
passionate.
would totally get off on that.
Yeah.
To think of the Klingon pop princess warrior. I screwed up your name. I'm sorry.
Jen.
Jen.
She's gonna kick your ass.
Okay. By the way, looking so good is Dr. Crusher. Did you see that post?
Yes.
Oh yeah, really.
Yeah, she looks so
Totally
good.
on
Your hair
point.
is beautiful, Jen.
I'm sure that there's people, Terry and I included, who would love to see a series based, or at least heavy with Andorians and Andorian culture and all that. And there's a chunk of fans that at least I've seen at the convention, a Romulan base here. But that's our personal love of aspects of Trek. It's not. Nick Meyer kind of saved Star Trek, whether people realize it or not, because after the first movie, the second movie had to have punch. Because the first movie, well, as every year as I get older, I find it more brilliant. I really do. I'm not just saying that. The one thing that I can't erase is the uniforms, but I find the story more in depth every time I watch it. But he reignited a passion for Trek with that movie.
I agree.
And the guy is an incredible storyteller. Kristen is, I love her to death. I mean, she made me love Voyager in her books. So stop saying what you would like and let the professionals do their job. You know what I'm not seeing? I'm not seeing Marvel fans go, well, Doctor Strange has to be this, and Captain Marvel has to be this, and Ant-Man has to be that. No, they trust Marvel. Why is it Star Trek fans never trust, ever? Deep Space Nine on a space station? That's gonna suck. Voyager?
Aren't we
that's
the
gonna
worst?
be too much that's gonna suck. A prequel? That's gonna suck. And y'all killed you all killed Enterprise. Because
I don't disagree.
Yes.
if you watch seasons 3 and 4, yeah. Even 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, okay? So you can all suck it. Am I a fan of the JJ Verse movies? The first one I'll watch. The second one I've only seen one time, and it is what it is. Not taking anything away from the performances, it just hurt me personally that they lied to us and took what would have been, as Mike has pointed out, if they had left one thing the same and not made him Khan, it would have been a really good movie.
Agreed.
It would have been a whole different movie and a really good movie. And if they hadn't tried to remake parts of Star Trek II frame by frame, and then Beyond is great. And if you're not seeing Beyond because you got some hard on for the JJ verse, well then first of all, you're not really a fan if you're not even giving it a chance. And second of all, you're only losing on yourself. And if you're going in thinking, oh, I'm going to hate this, it's going to suck. You know what I did very consciously going into the theater that night? Did not think, I'm going to hate this. I thought, let's see what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry I just ranted.
No, it's okay. It was actually a very good one. And I know that there's a couple of people in the chat room who are like, you know what? I don't think that he was insulting fans. I just want to make very clear. He was very, very clear about what it is that, and he was correct. Fans
He's a very direct man.
Yeah, he is a very direct man. He doesn't put up with bullshit. He's not politically correct. But that's what makes his work so wonderful, is that he's not pandering to a fandom. He's making they're going to be taking these.
See, that's what's is important. I mean, there's
Agreed.
a difference between doing something and sticking an Easter egg in, which I think Beyond did very well, and then there's what Into Darkness had done, which to me seemed like they were totally pandering. They were trying to throw in everything that they could, and it just came out insulting. So I think Myers knows how to do that correctly. So I'm not
look
worried.
at Ron Moore with Battlestar Galactica. That was a huge chance. That was a much beloved series still.
Yeah.
Their fans went into it the same way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like this. It's not Richard Hatch. It's not Dirk Benedict. All of that. And some of them became even huger fans. And it reignited a love, much like the JJ films, of the original as well.
I have to say, me, I've been very nervous about a new show because I want it to be what most fans want, and that is Trek at its soul, Trek at its foundation.
Mhm.
Well, I think having Kirsten and Meyer there.
The moment that I heard that these people were the ones that were being pulled in by CBS to do the show, and I have to give Alex Kurtzman credit for this. He's the one who's kind of the spearhead.
Never thought you'd say that, did you?
Never. Seriously, never. Well, how do I say this? It less of a surprise with Kurtzman than it would have been if it had been Lindelhoff or C. But
I
never thought
that as like
so.
the look on
Exactly.
your
So I
face
have to
when,
give him credit for that. This is a man who knows that he's got to bring in the pros from Dover, and he did. He brought in Kirsten Breyer. He brought in Nicholas Meyer. He brought in Brian Fuller. Jesus Christ!
If you
Talk
guys
about a
don't know
man
what
who
the pros
started
from
with
Dover
Star Trek
is,
and then built and went on from there. We're getting the cream of the crop. We have to now step back and place a little faith into these people who love Star Trek as much, if not more, than we do, and say, give us the Star Trek for today. Give us the Star Trek for today.
I got to tell you, Kirsten's love of Voyager actually helps.
I think so too. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, going back to the Kurtzman comment that you had made.
Mm-hmm.
Kurtzman knows what's at stake, and he knows and understands his limitations, and he knows that the only way he can pull it off is if he has the best team that he can assemble.
Yep.
So, but there's one more thing that came out this last week about Discovery that I want to touch on.
Please.
Ad-free option is here.
Huzzah! Yay! Right?
It's a little more expensive than I thought.
$3 more?
It's $10 a month,
as opposed to $7.
Yeah. But still, I subbed. I upgraded my sub. So.
I was gonna say I'm totally gonna upgrade the sub.
I totally did too. So yeah,
Terry has
I'm
a
already
sub.
done.
I have a sub. I do. I have a sub. It's even on
Alan,
my phone.
are you allowed to speak, or do you have the gag in?
He's here.
That's what I thought. Good luck with your Seahawks today, Alan.
Thank you.
I don't mean it.
So yay. Yeah, lots of things. So now that we have the opportunity, now we've kind of talked about that, the general news. Go ahead.
It should also be mentioned that although it's an ad-free option, that does not mean that everything is going to be completely ad-free.
Right.
So we don't know whether or not there will actually be ads anyways within the show. So
I'll read up on that.
I'm kind of curious to see, because it said that there was the caveat that that some things will still have ads, but that's probably because they're built into whatever the program was or something.
I'm looking forward to some product placement into Discovery.
Wouldn't that be funny? Actually, if it's done with a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, it didn't bother me in Star Trek.
This Coca-Cola is delicious.
Oh my god, that would just crack. I'm sorry, but Bud Classic, that fucking cracked me up.
Yeah,
I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, that doesn't bother me. As long as it's done. The Nokia one was stupid.
Voyage Home, remember that? She ordered a Michelob.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
They were also in the past, so
Yeah.
But it's seeing it, from the future perspective, ordering something contemporary. That's kind of makes it a little bit more special.
It's funny. So
I can't get the stains out of the blood in my uniform. Try this.
OxyClean.
Try OxyClean.
Preparation H.
Calgon, take me away.
It gets Klingon blood out.
Preparation H from when you're sitting in that captain's chair for too long.
Actually, that should be the name of the transporter operator, Calgon.
I'm sorry. I just had
Calgon,
this mental.
take me away.
I just had this mental
Ensign
image.
Calgon.
I just had this mental image of Crusher handing a tube of Prep H to somebody, going, "Here."
To Barkley. Because he's so stressed all the time. Mike, I think we have the title, Barkley's Preparation H.
Oh God! How the hell am I going to SEO that?
I think the title's too long for one, but okay.
Oh,
really? We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out.
Go
Yes?
ahead.
I was just going to keep moving on because we're running out of time.
Remind me during announcements about a podcast.
Okay, we will. So I really do want to have, because Janet and I did get to attend Mission New York. I did want to touch on, as we can, to talk about the things that we saw there, the people that we got to speak to there, the panels that we got to attend there.
You finally got to meet David Mack.
I did. I finally got to meet David Mack. And
the dreamy David Mack.
He's very nice. He's very nice.
Was he sober?
Huh? Well,
was he sober?
Yeah.
Was DeCanado there?
No, he didn't get to make it. He was moving that weekend.
Oh, that sucks.
He had to cancel at the last minute. I was really kind of sad because I did want to meet him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to remember, this was not a small convention. It was actually quite large.
Please tell me that Larry was there.
No.
Wow.
No, he was not there.
Larry was actually sleeping?
I don't know. Was Larry at Dragon Con?
Yeah,
Larry might have been at Dragon Con.
That's true, because that was
I think he was at. There was like 4 cons going on.
Because Baltimore was also going on the same weekend.
It was Baltimore, Salt Lake, Mission, New York, Dragon Con, and PAX?
Yeah, I think so.
It was a big weekend for conventions. So, there was a lot of people who were there that thought that maybe the convention, that Mission New York, wasn't very well attended. I think that it was, as I said in my
blog.
I'm sorry, I'm getting ding 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 in my ear, so I was trying to figure out if it. So it's a very large convention center. It's let's face it, it's New York City's convention center. It's monstrous.
The Javits Center?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the convention only took up probably not even half the space, but about half the space of the convention center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything to the south of the main stage was all closed up, was all tied up and locked up, right? Because they didn't need that space. Then everything to the north was pretty much taken up by Star Trek Mission New York. And they had 4 panel stages going on simultaneously, all 3 days. And all of these panels were pretty well attended.
Yes.
So the main stage was full for most of the celebrity panels. And for those of you who've been to Star Trek Las Vegas, the main stage at Mission New York was about half the size of the main stage at STLV. If that gives you an idea as to how big the room was. But it's a nicer theater style kind of seating. So there was one big room with about 2,000 people that got to sit on the floor. And then they had 2 side balconies that sat probably another 1,000 people. So
that's not bad.
It held probably between, 2,500 and 3,500 people. And it was packed. And it works just like any other Comic-Con, which is there is no reserved seating. So you had to sit in the panel room to make sure you had a seat for the panel that you really wanted to attend. Or you just sat there for the whole time. And they would give you bathroom passes.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you needed to go to the bathroom, you've got 10 minutes to go do it. They would give you a little bathroom pass and you could come back in.
Got to hold up your hand and hope the teacher, lets you.
So that works like every other convention, right? That's not any different than any other main or big a big convention. The other 4 panel rooms were also quite large. I would say that the book panel room that we were at in a lot, that probably held 500.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Anywhere between 500 and 750. Sometimes it's hard for me. I'm thinking about one row would probably hold 50, 75 chairs, and there was probably 15 or 20 rows. So it was a pretty big room, and it was really well attended. All of the book panels that we went to 3 writers panels. So one with David Mack, 2 of them with David Mack, one talking about writing for Star Trek, which they were very kind, and they invited Al Rivera from Star Trek Online to attend that one as well.
Yeah.
It was great. What a great thing that was, because it was Al Rivera from Star Trek Online. It was the gentleman from IDW to talk about writing for comics. It was David Mack and David Gerald, and it was actually quite excellent. It was a great panel to talk about how each genre deals with writing differently, and it was great. And what was wonderful too is that all of these questions and answer periods were also, like I said, they were very well attended, and the lines to ask questions were really, really long. Most of the time they had to send people back at the end of the panel because there wasn't enough time to get to all the questions. We attended, what else did we attend, Janet? The Ubisoft?
Yeah, and I attended Eagle Moss. Janice and I did. Yeah, we did it completely by accident. Actually, we meant to go someplace else, and I can't remember where. And we just sort of detoured in there because they had seats and they seemed lovely. And my God, they've got a lot of stuff coming out. Good Lord. They have been commissioned to do models for Discovery. He could not talk about it. Ben Robinson could not talk about any of that. He just said, yes, we're going to do it, and yes, it's more than one ship. And after that, nothing. They are, but they've got all sorts of funky stuff coming out, including, yes, the Suliban Cell ship. I'm so excited.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So lots of different kind of funky things are coming out. Just lovely, and
and their models are so beautiful. They're such great quality. They really are.
Okay, what's some of the best cosplay you saw?
Oh God, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West.
Oh my God,
it was hilarious.
Oh my God,
they were
so
awesome.
New York.
She looked like Zial with a huge ass.
Yes.
It was really funny. And of course, Khan was just just Khan, but he was wearing those stupid fucking glasses with the lines over. Oh my God, it was so funny.
That's funny.
They were good. There was a really good Harry Mudd. There was a really good Alice 27, but they were not together.
Yeah.
Well, they could have been. He might have been running from her.
And I have to say, although cosplay, there was some cosplay, it wasn't a lot. I think most of the big time cosplayers were probably at Dragon Con.
Dragon Con, yeah.
Yeah,
Dragon Con, yeah, because the announcement for this one came out a lot late. Dragon Con is like STLV. People get their tickets at the convention for the next year.
Right. Let's see if I can find that one. There we go. And but the other thing about the attendees at this convention that I thought was really kind of what was awesome was that there was a lot, and I do mean a lot, of first-time convention attendees. It was
from the tri-state area there.
Yeah, absolutely. You could hear people standing in line to buy their ticket, and I heard one person says, "Oh, we just saw the ad and thought, oh, we'll just make a day of it."
Nice.
There's a lot of single day first time attendees that were there, and I thought it was really kind of fun, and it was also very nice. So because of that, it was tourists who happened to have been in town. It was a lot of people who were first-time attendees from the local area. They weren't cosplayers. They weren't going to be comfortable enough to be doing that. But it was cool. It was really nice to see that kind of attendee to the thing. I'm looking for this photo, you guys. It was too funny, and I know that Kevin has it. And what else? We saw, so you saw the Eagle Moss one. By the way, I did want to make sure that everybody knew that Michael Jan Friedman was one of the authors that we saw in a couple of the panels. Oh, I
Yes.
went to the NASA Phil Plate, who's known as the Bad Astronomer, and Bobek Ferdowski, who's known as the Mohawk guy from JPL. They had a panel where they discussed, well, it was supposed to be them discussing what aliens would look like. And it just turned into this huge conversation about the forthcoming projects and things like that. Because really, that's at the end of the day what most of the people were interested in, because the questions kept coming up about, well, what's going on with the Mars 2020 or the 2020 project? And Bobek would talk about that. It was very cool. It was very cool to kind of talk, to listen to these two amazing scientists talk about not only their love for Star Trek, but also how the future of space exploration is moving forward. And I found it. So let me see. And there. Okay. So let me get this into the chat room so people can know what I was talking about, because it was fucking hilarious. Oh, come on. Why is it being so poo-poo? Upload. There we go. Pictures. And
yes, I remember seeing that gal with the bow tie. I thought she was really good too.
All right. There we go. There you go, Nick.
Nice.
Yeah, they were good.
But as you can see, that photo also shows how big this room was for the vendors area. So that was the Roddenberry booth.
Yeah, you had room to breathe.
Yeah, you definitely had room to breathe. So because of that, though, because people who are used to Star Trek Las Vegas, they saw it and they would see people roaming around and they would think, oh, it's not that well attended because it wasn't crowded. And I would have to say no. It's just that it was very kind of
It was roomy.
It was roomy. It was a very roomy place.
I want to play a Star Trek game. Gaming news.
I also need to let you guys know that I had the opportunity to get in and test the new Star Trek Bridge Crew game, which is the new virtual reality game that's being put out by Ubisoft. I got to sit down and play in a testing kind of a environment where me and two other members of the media and one of the members of the Ubisoft team was able to guide us through. So this game, I'm just going to tell you right up front, is amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, you saw the video from E3 with Jerry Ryan and LeVar Burton and Carl Urban. Did you guys see that video? Okay. And the three of them are kind of raving, right? They're going, ooh, ah, oh my God, this is so amazing. And you have no concept until you put that virtual reality viewer on. So we used the Sony version of the virtual reality to interface with this game, and I played what they're calling as a truncated version of the game. So even the options I had available to me were only a smidgen or a percentage of what they are actually going to be releasing in this game in November. It's going to be operational with the Sony VR, the HTC VR system, as well as the Oculus system that's coming out through them. So you put the headset on, and then you have two hand controllers. And the hand controllers are very, very simple. There's essentially like a trigger where you can trigger certain items, and you would use your index fingers for that. And then there's two buttons that you would be able to play that would be akin to like the XY button or the XO button on your Sony controllers, right? But instead of holding your hand up like you're playing thumb wrestling, you're holding your fingers down. So you're holding them like it's almost like a motorcycle, where you're holding onto a bicycle. So you're holding them flat out, right? So how do I say that? So your thumbs are parallel to the ground. So you're holding onto a bicycle handles. All right. So you got those things on your head. You got the thing on your head, and you're holding the controllers in your hand. And the controller also happens to have a round motion sensor that goes over the top of your hand. So it actually can sense your finger movement. So because a lot of what you do in this game is controlled by the buttons that you press on the controller on the bridge. Essentially the job is you get your choice of four different positions on the bridge of the Aegis, which is, and by the way, this is also in the Kelvin timeline. So you're playing in the Kelvin timeline. So the bridge is actually kind of quite nice and tight looking and bright. And you have your choice of an engineering station, the tactical station, the engineering tactical. Who am I missing?
Science?
Science.
Yes. Yeah. The science station and the
Helm?
captain.
Oh,
So
Captain.
there's one person who's in the captain's chair. Let me tell you, it's not easy. It's so fucking hard. It's so hard. I would not want to be the captain. I would not, like, because you have to know everything that's going on. So the captain has to kind of monitor what's going on the monitor, know what their orders are from Starfleet, and they have to know, okay, who's the approaching enemy? Is there the job that we had, the mission that we had was there was a ship that was in danger, and it released a bunch of escape pods. So it has personnel who are in these escape pods, and the escape pods need just simple mission, you guys. Your job is to rescue as many escape pods as you can. And of course the Klingons come in and attack at the time. So it's a very, very fine line of the navigator. Oh, it was the navigation. That's what it was. The navigator getting close enough to the pod, the tactical officer being aware of when they could fire, and the engineering making sure that both of these people had enough power. And the engineer also had to operate the transporters. But you can't operate the transporters unless you're close enough to the pod. You can't operate the transporters if the shields are up. So it's a very, very tough mission to get through, because you can't really do anything unless you're getting an order from the captain. So my job was to look at my panel in front of me, which, by the way, was so fucking unbelievable, because I'm looking down in my virtual reality and I'm seeing this pair of hands, and they're moving just like my hands are moving. It's so trippy. It's so trippy. The rate of correction on the panel when it comes to whether or not you quote unquote touch it, because of course you don't really touch the panel, you can't really feel anything, but it distance wise for your eyes and things like that, it's like 2 millimeter give. So that's how closely related to this is. So when you move your hand, it moves in the game within 2 millimeter rate of error. Isn't that amazing? It's so amazing. So here I was trying to operate the panels, and for the panels, two panels in front of me. I had one for the transporters and the one for the power levels, to make sure that I would be able to lower the shields, up the power for the transporter, transport the pod when I could, and then, if necessary, to keep us from getting too much damage, the moment we transported, to lower the power to the transporters, up the power to the shields, and still maintain enough power for the engines to keep the ship moving. It was insane. And it was so amazing and so realistic that I kept turning around, and they kept, the guy from Ubisoft kept having to pivot my chair back around. Because I kept moving around. It was very cool. The game will be $60 and playable online. You can play independent. Here's the thing: is you can play yourself, so you can solo play it with 3 NPCs. You can play it with 2 people and 2 NPCs, or you can play a team of 4. You do not have to be in the same room at all. It plays just like you would with TeamSpeak. So you'll have headphones on. You have everything. You can play across the world with 3 other people. And there are missions that is a storyline missions, or there's going to be kind of a random generated mission. So it wouldn't necessarily have a through storyline, but you could just play a random, almost like a Foundry type of thing, where it kind of auto generates puzzles for you to solve. It was insane. And really, really, really remarkable, and I can't wait to play it. I really can't. What else? We played Stowe. I played on the Sony, the new console, which is beautiful.
It's been released already. Came out Tuesday.
Yeah, it came out the day after I tried it. I don't know. Has anybody? Because it was very funny because Stephen Ricosa kind of talked me through it, and I'm not a console player, which was obvious when I was playing it. He was so patient with me. I'm just letting you guys know now. He was very patient with me because I'm so ingrained.
He was like, this woman talks about our game every week on the show, and now she's walking into walls.
I was totally walking into walls.
Don't feel bad. I had a frame rate issue the other night. I think it's because we had a thunderstorm going on. And Satan just kept running into a wall on DS9, and it was so humiliating. Having a Fleet Admiral running into a wall over and over and over. And then it started rubber banding.
Let's see. Well, there's there were a lot of vendors, and the jewelry vendor, beautiful work. Just glorious. I mean, really high class pieces, beautiful stuff.
She did.
I said glorious. It's glorious.
It's glorious.
It's glorious. And Simplicity was there with patterns for uniforms. You could get lots of little tchotchke things to buy. There was a psychic, which was weird. The New York the New York Post was also there, which was also weird.
No, it's not. It's the Post.
It's the Post. I bought a nice poster from the little Red Shirts Book of Doom.
She has a poster from the Red Shirts Little Book of Doom by Rob Perlman, and the poster has all of the little not animations, the
drawings,
the little cartoon disasters.
The little cartoons. They're so cute.
I made something Star Trek. Unofficial Productions.
Hey, there is something I wanted to bring up because we didn't have a show last week.
Yes.
Continues put out a new episode.
Yes, we did hear about that. I haven't seen it yet, though.
Oh, it's so good, Terry.
Oh,
it's
I will. I'll watch it.
James Kerwin and Vic wrote it.
Nice.
And
good.
I think you'll like the message of it.
Nice.
No Kipley, but there are two people that we know and love in it. And one made me squeal.
Yeah, it must be the Empress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And John Champion's got a big role. So John, it was so cool to see you.
Awesome.
He's at the helm. And the guy that plays Chekhov, remember when we had him on the show, how much fun he was?
He's
he's really good in this. And there's Mike, you watched it, right?
Multiple times.
Like the scene with him and Uhura where Uhura gives him advice about all the things that he's doing. And what makes it really interesting is there's kind of a similar thing happening in the Legacies book with the same advice. So I just thought that was really interesting.
Oh, very cool.
Because, Chekhov is at the science station, he's a navigator, he's tactical, he's all these things. And Uhura basically tells him, you've got to find one thing to excel at. It's good to know all these things, but you've got to set yourself apart.
I had watched for the anniversary. One of the things I had watched was the Wrath of Khan.
Right.
And the thing that Chekhov kind of sort of inspires them to create is the same thing that Kirk exploits in the battle with Khan to take down the Reliance shields.
Oh, you're talking about in the Continues.
So that was a nice
that's you know what, Mike?
Easter egg.
I didn't even make that connection. Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good call.
It was a nice Easter egg.
Yeah. And Terry, the visuals in this with what Chekhov does. Am I right, Mike? The visuals of that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little nod to something to TNG. But you got to see it just to see the Empress in the engineering jumpsuit.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
I will. I promise
I'll watch it.
And
I have one complaint about the Empress's appearance in the engineering jumpsuit.
Go ahead.
Now, I'm sure for Nick this is a benefit and not really a bad thing, but Scotty in the engineering jumpsuit was wearing a T-shirt underneath, and she was not.
That's a personal choice. Personal choice.
Yeah, but I just thought it was kind of odd that, he's wearing a shirt and she's,
Because she's the Empress and she can do whatever she wants. I love Mary. Mary looks good in Science Blue.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She looks good at everything.
Yeah, that's true.
All
But
right.
there was something else. So to celebrate the 50th, go ahead and ask me what I watched.
What did you watch?
Star Trek V.
Very fun.
Yeah.
right on.
I still
Very-
like it, Bill.
Go ahead, Mike.
I had also watched For the Love of Spock, the documentary.
Oh, very cool.
That was a lot of fun.
God, there's so much stuff.
I'm going to
Yeah,
say
there's
that
so much.
stuff.
I haven't seen 5 in so long. And, it's an interesting story premise. It's
It
very
is.
very Star Trek.
It is.
There's some things obviously I could do without, like the Scotty banging his head on the thing and passing out. But I understand they went for some humor in that. What killed them was the studio and the budget constraints.
Yep.
That really, really killed them. Because the guy, Lawrence Luckinbill as Cybok, is really good.
It's great. Yeah.
And there's some deep moments in that movie that I had forgotten about.
It's watchable.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of shit, but I'm sorry, the movie is totally watchable.
And there's some really interesting stuff in there, like the Planet of Galactic Peace. David Warner. You can't go wrong when you have David Warner on screen.
Yes. Oh, awesome.
True.
And it does lead. Most people will make fun of that movie, but it did lead to one of the most quoted lines in Star Trek history. What does God need with a starship?
And it was a great line.
Yeah, and delivered really well. Kirk. Excuse me. But it was now. The Klingon in that movie was just a total dope. I mean, especially after Krug, and
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But yeah, it was a fun movie.
It was a fun movie. Well, I'm glad. We do really need to move on, you guys. I'm sorry. I talked a lot about the virtual reality game, but it was so much fun. But we do have.
Did you give David Mack a little inappropriate touching?
Actually, no, I didn't, because we were all on, he was like on best behavior.
Well, he was around the suits.
It was also because it was a convention. There was no bar. There was no.
Whoa! A convention with no bar?
I see. It was a convention center.
okay.
There was no bar. There was
That may be New York law, by the way.
And it was also just one of those things where it wasn't like you could socialize after a panel. It was
one to another.
Yeah. You go from one panel to the other, and then afterwards you just go straight back to your hotel and everybody just disperses.
Yeah.
The only time we ever got together, which, by the way, thanks to Mike Nguyen and everybody who invited us to the Star Trek party kind of thing at O'Lunny's bar at just off Times Square. That was a blast. And I completely lost track of time and didn't realize that New York bars didn't close until 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, how was Moogie?
Moogie was fine. She was working too, right?
Nice.
We saw her at the hotel.
We love you, Moogie.
And she did her stuff for the museum at the time and tweeted, and she works for Trek Movie now, and so she was busting her butt. She was live tweeting and covering, and same thing we were. Janet and I were running around taking photos and interviews and going to panels, and so it was busy. It was busy. But then after that, it was like boom. Once everything was done, you were dying for something to eat. So everybody was like, "Oh, I gotta go back and get some food."
People getting hangry.
Yeah, because seriously, there was an empanada stand.
And that was it. Yeah. They really, really dropped the ball when it came to the food. And there were so many ways they could have gone with it, and that was unfortunate.
They had like it was like one of those honey roasted nut stands. Huh?
They needed food trucks.
Well, they had like hot dog stands inside, but they weren't hot dogs. One of them had honey roasted nuts and empanadas. That was the two
There's a
things.
combo.
I always think of those together.
And then there was a pinkberry stand with some frozen yogurt, and that was it. And they had like a Hudson News upstairs, so if you wanted to buy a bag of trail mix, you could get it up there. It was bad. That was bad. And it's not like the Javits Center is close to any restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
New York is full of restaurants, except in the 1 mile square area of the Javits Center.
So they needed to ship in like food trucks.
They should have. Oh my God, they would have made a killing.
And there
Just
was
line
room
up-
too.
There was
room.
tons of room. They should have just invited every
Parked
food
them in
truck
the
on the planet to
vendor's
come
room.
through. Yeah. They just right out front, they could have done it. It would have been awesome.
Well, I'm saying the vendor's room was so big. I mean, there was plenty of room to park a dozen food trucks as well.
Actually, and that's the thing, is there really wasn't. The vendor's room was large, but it was almost full.
Oh, wow.
It really was. You look at the pictures, and what's weird is the Star Trek Online booth. It was 4 times larger than the booth they have at STLV.
Wow, so it was double the size of ours.
Yes.
Wow.
So you had.
So it was like Roddenberry size.
It was, well, it had 4 or 6 stations where you could play the game.
Wow.
They had 4 or 6 consoles. So they had 3 huge pillars. They had a photograph area where there was a green screen where you could take your picture on the bridge
Yeah.
of a ship. Then they had a big table set up with a huge banner in the back, and the table is where
Was Zero there?
Zero was there, and
Zero.
what's her Tasha.
Oh yeah.
Denise Crosby was there signing, giving away her autograph for free, and then they had the table set up where you could look at the new 3D prints of the ships. Have you heard about this, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Star Trek Online, you can now as soon as they get it up and running, you will be able to create your ship in the game and then send it off to be 3D printed. So the Gettysburg can be made now.
Sovereign Gettysburg.
I know, right? It's beautiful. These things were really cool.
Hi, Zero.
So that's the one size panel. The
Hey, I still need to
TNG
get my-
bridge crew, that had to be a 20-foot diameter panel. The
Oh, wow.
timelines, theirs was the same. It was 20 foot, maybe plus in diameter. They had a center post, and they had 8 stations for people to play and test the games. I mean, it was so each of these booths were huge. Hallmark was there, and Simplicity's booth was as big as ours was at STLV. So it wasn't just, so the number of vendors might have been a little bit less than what they have at Star Trek Las Vegas, but their presence was far more overt. You didn't have to kind of squeeze in to go see Star Trek Online next to Star Trek Ascendancy. Ascendancy had a big panel. Not only did they have like 4 playing tables at their booth, but they had like 4 more playing tables out on the other edge of the vendors area. It was just a really comfortable space where you could get in and test and talk to, and there were 5 publishers there. 5. So they had DK and Simon and Schuster and Insight Publications and IDW. It was just very cool. You could buy the books. They had booksellers there. They had people selling books. It was
I like what
awesome.
Rakosa wrote here.
Yeah.
He said, just like any other Star Trek series, your ship feels as much a part of your journey as any member of the crew. That is so true. The
It
Gettysburg
is true.
is just such a part of.
It's your fifth character. You have
well,
your main
and I'm on the
character, your
Gettysburg,
4 bridge officers, and your ship.
and I'm on the Gettysburg G since I got the Kelvin
Yep.
ship out of the lockbox. So
Yeah.
I'm on a G model.
And Jay Galloway was asking me if Mission New York had a better vendor area than STLV. I would have to say the way that it's set up for vendors at this mission, yes. I like the way that it was set up better than Star Trek Las Vegas, because there was more room.
Was Mac there?
Mac
Yes.
was not there.
Cosmetics, yeah, they were not there.
Okay.
No, they were not there. Yeah. But there was a huge space in the back where James Cawley had brought a chunk of the official bridge of
Nice.
and so you could sit in the TOS bridge and get your picture taken there. So yeah, they were there. Everybody who was there, for the most part, were licensees. So they were the corporate representatives for the licensees. So Hallmark, all of the books. Eagle Moss was there. if there's a Star Trek product, a Novos was there, a Lightspeed was there. It's a lot of the same people that we see at
Right.
STLV were there, plus a few more. What we're missing were the mom and pop stuff that we always see.
I was
in the
going to
back.
say, like that guy that from Philadelphia that we see every year in Vegas.
Nope, nobody like that. There was
Yeah.
like two. There was two people who had their stores that were like New York centric, and who were selling their stuff. So that's where Janet got her poster, to be honest with you. She got it at one of those dealers that had a lot of stuff, like some action figures and some things. But none of that garage sale type stuff was there. There was even a person selling patches and things like that. Janet, didn't you get a couple patches?
Yes, I did. I got a Enterprise patch and I got a Mako patch.
Yay! So it was all there. Nothing was really missing except for some of the non-Star Trek stuff. So the jeweler that was there was a Star Trek jeweler. Where at STLV there's a jeweler that sells non-Star Trek stuff. Where I got that beautiful silver wire and stuff like that. So I would have to say that it has room to grow. There's no doubt there's room to grow. And I was waiting for that in the chat room. And I don't know. I hope, I sincerely hope that Reed Pop and CBS continue to do missions. I just don't know if the Javits Center is the right place for it, or if it is, then they just need to make some improvements with regards to the facilities. Not put everything so spread out, because the main stage, no lie, was a full, at least a third of a mile away from the vendor's room.
Yeah, it was far. I would, I don't know if maybe it's cost prohibitive, but if they could get into Madison Square Garden, I think they would do a lot better. For one thing, public transportation would have been ideal.
That's a good point.
Whereas what happened with Javits Center is that it's a bit involved to go via public transport, and then when you want to go via a taxi cab, the address that's listed for Javits Center is fucking ridiculous. It's on on the street, whereas the entrance is actually on 11th Avenue. We circled one time in a cab, and I saw people in cosplay, for Christ's sake, trying to find the right entrance, and Starfleet Mom got lost too. And these were fairly warm days, so who the hell wants to recreate Cardassian makeup after they've sweated it off because the stupid thing put them in the wrong place because they didn't know where they were supposed to be going? This is something that could have been one or two lines in what Reed Pop was showing on their website, and that could have solved this problem.
Yeah.
Or better, actually, go to Madison Square Garden, because it's right there. It's Penn Station. It's cheek by jowl. So much easier to get to. So many more opportunities and places to eat. By the way,
yes, I'd agree with that wholeheartedly. I just think that Javits Center was the wrong venue. I really do. Everything else about it was fantastic. It was so well organized. It was seriously, you guys, you walk in, most everybody who bought or pre-bought their tickets already had their badges mailed to them. So they actually had their badges in their hands before they even got there. There was no standing in line. There was no will call. They just had to walk in the door, show security their badge, walk in. There were buckets of, lanyards. You just pulled a lanyard out, hooked your thing and threw it over your neck. It was great. Daily sales, they had it all set up. It was all very well organized with very clear signage as to will call, buy tickets here, media, press, they had their own line. And then there was an information desk with a Reed Pop employee who was there, and every single area where the panels were set up, it was very clear as to outside each door, there was a schedule of every single panel that was in that room. So would we go up to 1A23, I would look up and say, okay, today is Friday. I would look under Friday, and there's a list of every single panel in order of its appearance as to what's in that room. I didn't have to worry about looking through. It was there. It was all there. It was brilliant. Extraordinarily well organized. And I really do hope, again, that Reed Pop gets another crack at this, because it was fun. I can see it becoming something really good.
I really hope
Yeah.
if something happens to me and I make the news, the media has to use my profile picture from Facebook now.
I'm afraid of it. I haven't seen it, so I will.
It's the Romulan.
You guys,
from
we do
the
have
artwork. It's the artwork of the Romulan. Me as a Romulan.
Oh yeah, I love it.
That would be
All right,
hilarious.
we do have something to talk about, and I know we're going for a little long. We knew it would be a long show, but we still have our guilty pleasures from a couple of shows left over.
Jesus. Oh, sorry, I'm stretching. Oh,
I know.
That's fine.
As everybody's taking a break. Everybody's taking a pee break.
Speaking of taking a break, let me tell you something that did happen this week that I forgot to tell you about.
Okay.
So evidently, Mochi found my toes while I was sleeping this week.
Do you have little kitty teeth prints?
And evidently, I woke up yelling, "You little fucking jihadist," as she was attacking me.
Too funny.
So now that's the name of our next band, Kitty Jihadist.
Kitty jihadist.
Toe jihadist.
Toe Jihadist. She's such a lover. But yeah, evidently I moved my toes in my sleep, and she just stares at it for about 10 minutes and then decides it's time.
That's what cats
She's
are.
so
Aren't they?
cute. I love her.
Alan thinks they're evil.
Alan!
Hi.
You think kitties are evil?
Huh?
Kitties are not evil.
Cats are evil.
Stop it.
They really are. They're just. If you think that they're being nice to you, they're just biding time until they go in for the kill.
Well, I know that they are. We serve them. They are the alien overlords.
They really are. They really are. We serve them. I mean, we pick up their poop. They get fed by us. We are their slaves.
What's your favorite episode? GNT shows 50 for 50.
So what do we have? What do we have left to discuss, Mr. Kujiro?
Terry, we have, this is actually our final segment of 50 for 50. We had gone through the list. We've done our guilty pleasures. We have one series left that we still want to do our guilty pleasures on. Let me set the table here. The series is Enterprise. And in the 50 for 50, 8 episodes made from Enterprise made the top 50. And interestingly, they are all from season 3 and season 4, which of course makes a lot of sense because that's when the show was really starting to get good. Interestingly, one entire story arc made the top 50, which is the Vulcan story arc. The Kirshara episodes and the Forge and those. So the other interesting thing about it is a lot of Enterprise episodes made the top half of the list. In fact, I would say almost 2/3 of the Enterprise episodes made the top half of the 50 for 50 list. I'm sorry, not the 50 for 50, but the entire ranking of all the episodes. But only 8 of them made the top. So it's kind of interesting how Enterprise was perceived by a lot of people. There was a question that came on very early in our survey that was about how the voting was kind of playing out. And I think Nick will remember this. There was a question about what was the most polarizing episode. And that was an episode that actually had a lot of excellent votes and good votes, and then a lot of what were they thinking votes, but nothing in the middle. And what episode do you think that was?
Dear Doctor.
Absolutely.
Hell
it was
yeah.
Dear Doctor. Which actually scored 248 on the overall list out of the 690. So
Fucking flocks that Nazi.
yes, it's a very controversial episode. But today we're talking about the episodes that did not make the top 50. And I'm going to go ahead and start because I have
The mic.
two of my favorite episodes actually of all Star Trek and their Enterprise. I think everyone would agree that Carbon Creek is a great episode.
I really like that episode.
Yes.
Love Carbon
Love
Creek.
He insists on calling me Mo.
Yeah, it scored 129 on the overall ranking.
That's not bad.
No, not too bad. In the top 20%. And of course, we know what happened in that episode. But there's another episode that I just love. I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why. One of my favorite characters in Enterprise is Shran.
Of course.
Shran was such a great character, and I would have loved to have seen how they could have continued to develop that character if this series had gone on, because every series has one race that kind of stand out as a signature race for that series, and I think the Andorians could have become that. And my favorite episode from there is the Andorian incident. It's the time we're introduced to the Andorians in the Enterprise series, and we get to see a lot more about that relationship between the Andorians and the Vulcans, which we know is contentious from other parts of the canon. And as we know, this episode is they're at this monastery that's a Vulcan monastery that gets overrun by the Andorians because they were accusing them of it being a spy outpost. And find out at the end, the Andorians were correct. And again, I just love the way the episode plays out. And again, the banter between Shran and the counterplay with Archer and everything, I think is just a really fun episode.
I thoroughly agree.
Any comment on that?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, it's a slap bang introduction to a familiar race that suddenly gives them so much more juice.
Absolutely.
And also,
so what are your guilty pleasures?
Nick, you start.
My first would be Fight or Flight, which is the actual second episode of the series. It's a very creepy episode. It deals with Hoshi having extreme fears because she's out here and they could die at any time.
I love the fact that they made her not a spacefarer. You know what I mean? Loved it.
I really liked it a lot.
I think it was great because it really helped set a tone that they didn't really continue in the series, but the whole idea is this is like our first venture out into deep space. So they could have, we got to see a little bit more about the things that the unknown, and the other thing that Enterprise started off with was they didn't have established protocols for some of the things that they were going to encounter. So we start to see how that's going to play out in different ways, and I think this episode kind of helped show that.
Totally agree.
My next one, again, it's another Hoshi episode, which I didn't even realize when I was assembling this. Vanishing Point.
Yes.
Using the transporter, Hoshi becomes convinced that her molecules weren't reassembled correctly.
Only thing I don't like about this episode is the fact that it was all "quote unquote" a dream.
I didn't mind it. It's better than retconning.
Yeah.
It was a reset button.
Yeah, but I think the point Terry brought up earlier too is I think Hoshi gets overlooked a lot when we talk about Enterprise.
Yes.
She's a great character, and to have her not be be a little more tentative about being out there helps to give the viewers that window to that more reluctant feel of not everybody is gung ho about it.
Well, I think that they turned Trip into the audience avatar, but the truth is, in the beginning, they wanted Hoshi to be the audience avatar.
Yes.
And I think she's a much better audience avatar because I hate to break this to you folks, but the chances are really good that most of us, if we were on a rocket ship and we got disassembled and reassembled, we'd shit our pants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true. Yes, we would. What about you? Go ahead, Nick.
I just had two more. And I'm not sure if they made it. So, Alan, you'll have to help me. One is Impulse.
Okay.
That is the one where they find the Vulcan ship and everybody's gone mad.
Oh,
right.
The zombie Vulcan one, yeah.
Yeah, the zombie Vulcan one. And the other is Twilight.
I think that one did make it.
Did it make
Twilight did make the top 50.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so Impulse.
Okay. Impulse was the number 46 episode in Enterprise, the 198th overall.
Wow. Okay.
Very cool. I'll give you mine. Mike, do you have a list for Enterprise? Do you want to talk?
Yeah. You wanted to go first. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, Carbon Creek was one of mine. But I have three more, and they are guilty pleasures. So don't give me too much shit, okay? But Shuttle Pod 1.
Yeah,
that's on my list too.
That one was. I almost put that one on.
Which one?
Shuttle Pod 1. This is the one where Trip and Reed gets stuck,
Oh, Shuttle Pup. Yeah.
and they
And they think the Enterprise got
and they-
destroyed.
and they think and so they're kind of freezing to death, and it's that wonderful
Right.
kind of discussion between the two of them. You get to know those characters. It's total character study. It's a
Yeah.
total character study, and I loved it.
It's also a ship
Yeah.
in a bottle type
It
of
is.
episode.
It's
Yeah.
a cheap one to make.
Number 105
Absolutely.
overall.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's not bad.
And then Desert Crossing.
Okay.
For
Shirtless Archer.
for Shirtless Archer. I'm sorry, it's really what it was about. I don't care. I was like, which one is that? Oh, that's the one where I remember that one. Shirtless Archer. And then North Star.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
really?
fun.
I love North Star.
What was the last one? North Star?
North Star.
That's
It's-
the Western, right?
The Western. And the reason
Yeah.
why I love it even more now is because we're actually seeing members of that colony, for lack of a better term, showing up as characters in the books,
Yeah.
and I'm loving that. So,
Very cool.
yeah, it's fun.
That
So
one
those are
ranked
mine.
number 263 overall.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Mike?
Mikey.
Yes. Well, this is one of my guilty pleasures. And as soon as I say it, I'm sure Terry will be screaming a certain phrase out because it's synonymous with the episode.
Oh no.
Unexpected.
Oh.
Trip's wrist nipple.
Trips wrist nipple.
Oh, see, okay. And
I thought it would either be that or shell.
I hate that episode, but okay. The shale. No, that's a different
Trips
one.
no,
Anyway.
that was a different one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I liked about that particular episode is the aliens. There was that whole you have to be in the pressurization pod or whatever it is,
Yeah.
the airlock for like 8 hours or whatever, and it was like, here's an alien. It's like they could interact, they could be together, but again, you have to kind of go through this process. It's not automatically we're living in the same world or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that. It made it different in terms of what we normally see from Trek. And
Well, and that's a good point about this episode. That's another thing that Enterprise did a few times was they went through those awkward protocols that they had to come up with. I believe there was an episode where the universal translator wasn't quite working correctly, and they showed the process. Again, it was that whole thing about the question like, where's the bathroom? That kind of a thing. It's all these little things, details that they added in that
I just thought
that
the
we
whole
see in the other incarnations.
not unlike that one of the first episodes where they start talking to the school kids and Trip gets the poop question.
Poop question.
yes.
But really, in this episode, Trip gets raped.
Yeah.
No,
He was kind of willing.
It wasn't consentful because he really didn't know what
Exactly.
He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lack of knowledge there.
And then he gets
which would have been a
impregnated.
problem.
and then gets the wrist nipple.
Oh, Matthew. He says that episode brought a whole new meaning to hand job.
Oh.
Just
It
go
was-
stand in the corner, Matthew.
By the way, it ranked number 494.
Really?
Wow.
That's quite a ways down there.
Steve, stop it.
The
Ooh, I
some
don't
of the
need
other
to see
ones.
this.
Some of the other ones. In a Mirror Darkly.
I thought that
Oh
made
yeah.
it.
Oh, did that make the list? I wasn't sure.
Let me see here. I think it did make it, but let me. Oh no, it didn't. It
didn't.
barely made it. It was just out. It was number 54.
Okay, I had
Oh wow,
consulted-
close.
I consulted the list when I was coming up with these, so I wouldn't have written it down unless I was kind of thinking it didn't make it. But yeah, that definitely should have been there. I thought that was
Yeah.
a great episode.
Anything
Or a
with
pair
Paul
of
with long hair.
episodes. And then also, that reminds me of that one episode during the Xindi arc that where Earth blows up, and it's another reset button episode, but with the subspace parasites in Archer's
That's the
brain.
one that that's the one I said
Oh, that's
too,
the
Mike.
one. Okay.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
Twilight,
that episode too. Twilight, yeah, okay. But also Affliction and Divergence. Those are two of the Klingon episodes that I really appreciated as well.
Both Affliction and Divergence did pretty well. They were number 81 and number 88. I'm sorry, number 81 and 91 on the overall list.
That's how
That's not bad.
Klingons lost their ridges.
I had Shuttlepod 1 was on my list, but I have another 3. Broken Bow.
Yeah.
It's a
Sure.
really good pilot.
It is a very good pilot. I
It
was thinking
really
that
is.
it's yeah.
People don't like how Archer treated T'Pol, but the truth is, she was acting like a little bitch, and I liked that we weren't getting along with the Vulcans. I have to say that.
Me too.
Yeah.
That it wasn't perfect. I never liked that. Even in TOS in particular, they seemed too perfect. It seemed too interlocked. And now, granted, TOS takes place later, and we're sort of mise en scène. It's already there. We were already in the relationship with them. So it was good to see that it was rocky in the beginning. That was
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more.
And it's great also in the fact that what Saval becomes from that first episode.
Yes.
And then so when
And T'Pol
Admiral
also.
Forrest dies, and Saval has kind of
Yes, and Saval
a change that's been going on, and then that's kind of like the moment where he accepts everything.
It means
Right.
something when Forrest gives his life to save Saval. That changes the entire storyline, and it doesn't mean anything without this.
Yeah, without
And-
that initial tension.
One of the few good things about These Are the Voyages is when Archer and T'Pol embrace.
Yes.
And I mean, she's very stiff about it. She's still kind of like, oh my God, this is really weird. But the bottom line is that for somebody who he really did, he says this, I want to knock you on your Vulcan ass. When his story arc completes, where he goes from being, cowboy kind of, like, I can't stand you, to you are someone who is dear to me. And that meant something. It made so much sense, and it was one of the few things that made sense in TATV.
And building off of Carbon Creek too, where she tells them that story, and they don't know if she's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
Right, and then it makes sense that it becomes believable. I know people see it as slashy, but I do not. Harbinger, because I think people wouldn't always get along. I like it when people, and it is the same thing with Broken Bow. I love it when people don't get along. It means something. It makes more sense. It's too happy, joy.
Which one is Harbinger?
Harbinger is when Reed and Hayes fight.
Yeah, okay.
I love that episode.
Of course you do.
I
but
love that episode.
But it's not only because, and Stephen Culp is staring at me right now. For those who don't know, I have a large autographed picture of him, and a nice little note from him framed right above where my computer is, so the eyes are looking down.
Hayes is my favorite character in Enterprise.
Yeah, I love Hayes, but it's also because and that T'Pol and Trip and Amanda, I can't remember her last name, Amanda Cole, that they're developing what could be a triangle, and that T'Pol acts relatively impulsively because she realizes that her chances with Trip are slipping away. So there's a lot going on in this episode, and maybe it should have been longer. Maybe it should have been 2 episodes. It's a little overstuffed.
Because this is the one where Hayes gets killed too.
No, he doesn't die until
in the countdown.
So there's lots and lots going on, but there's very heavy emotion, very heavy character development. I love character development, but it's also that people don't get on, which is lovely. And the other one, E2.
Yeah.
I know.
I liked it.
I know they did that in, I think it was Voyager, but I didn't see it, so I don't care about that. But but I liked the idea, and God, I wrote, eventually these are going to end up on the forums, but I wrote 4 books based on E2. E2 was just like one of those things that I just wrote, oh my God, there was so much to write about. But it was all about how people sort of, it's what they used to say about the real world on MTV. When people stop being polite, that's how I write the E2 stories that I write, which is where people stop being polite when they realize it's a generational ship, and basically Archer has to announce that it doesn't matter what rank you are, you can go after anybody you like, and that the ratio is so poor that people are constantly circling each other, and the way I write it is at the end, when things get really desperate, that a crewman is attacked.
Huh.
And Phlox ends up with most of them. With a small harem.
He ends up with Amanda Cole, and they have 9 children. That's what happens in it.
Go, Phlox.
What? He only had one wife? What? That's not a legitimate marriage.
Well, I'm sure they told him, yeah, you're going to get knocked off the ship if you end up with more than one. They didn't have enough women. There's only 1/3 to 2/3 ratio.
Similitude is another one I liked a lot. The one that
which one, Mike?
Similitude or whatever.
Similitude.
Kind of like the Tuvix one.
The cloning where they end up with another trip, and he's like becomes he's self-aware the entire time, but he goes beyond. He wants to become number one trip, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I like that one quite a bit. So
if it weren't, I'm the one thing about Enterprise that always made me smile is that really, if it weren't for Trip, there wouldn't be a Prime Directive, because he knew how to fuck things up left and right.
He knew how to push, the boundaries. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he would always, and with that kind of folksy, that road to hell kind of thing, right? It was a good intention, poorly executed, and that's the way Trip was. Is that he had this sense of his own morality, and it couldn't help but interject it into other situations that it shouldn't be interjected in. It was not to say that, but those were always great episodes too, because at the end of it you were like, holy shit, Trip, you fucked that up. And what I liked is he usually took shit for it too, because Archer was smart enough to ding him. Well, Alan, did we get everybody?
I think so.
Did we want to talk at all about the animated series?
I have at least a few honorable mentions.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Take a break.
Jihad. That was a great episode. It's the one with the score, which I love as a race, and I want to see. It's that giant golden bird-like species, but basically a religious war is on the verge of breaking out unless this small group of very diverse aliens comes together and works together in order to recover a stolen religious artifact.
And in the books, it seems like the Royal Order of the Kansasha are based off of them.
Really?
Remember in Titan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I didn't know that.
So it's how it seems.
Okay.
That's a great episode. Some other ones that really I thought were very good. Yesteryear, that's that Spock episode where we meet young Spock and we see a lot of Vulcan culture that actually inspired a lot of what actually came about in Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
More Trouble, More Tribbles, because hey, who doesn't love the idea of a beanbag chair sized tribble? I mean, come on.
Klingons.
Yeah, Klingons, right.
Pretty much. I still want to see that as a product. A giant beanbag chair filled with lots of tiny little tribbles. I'm just saying, BIM, that was actually supposed to be a TOS episode if they actually went to a 4th season. It's an alien that all of his bits and pieces, he can pull himself apart, and he's like a communal alien, so his head is its own little alien, and it's his arms.
David Gerard wrote that, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
David Gerald, yeah.
Gerald.
But I thought it was a great, fun little episode. The Practical Joker, we get to see the holodeck for the first time. It's the Enterprise gains a bit of consciousness from an alien cloud. A lot of of the animated series inspires later episodes of Star Trek. I remember a lot of these, popping up again in like TNG and whatnot. So, I mean, people don't say it's not canon, and people don't like it a lot. But there's so much there that actually inspired and actually came about a little later in a different form in later series. And then the last one I kind of enjoyed was Albatross. If I remember correctly, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen the I believe that one is the oh crap, I'm thinking of a different one. I don't remember why I like this one, but this one, there's just so many. There's just so many.
I have one, the Lorelei Signal.
That's a good one too, yeah.
That's
It's the one where the men are all put under the spell and the women take control of the ship, and her is the captain, if I remember correctly.
She is the
yes, I
ranking
think that's
officer on
true.
Bridge,
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many. I mean, they're all kind of cheesy in their Saturday morning cartoon, but they're still very Star Trek.
Well, I think the thing about it is that the writing was still good. I mean, it was a half-hour format, and it was a cartoon, and it gets overlooked a little bit. But I mean, let's face it; these are the storylines that probably, like you said, probably would have been in the fourth season if it had continued. And so, these were not written to be Saturday morning cartoons. These were written to be Star Trek episodes. The problem is they were shorter; they were only the half-hour length. And but you still look at it and go to the fact that they still used the same actors to do the voices. So it was William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and everybody doing the voices. So the idea of the production value was to maintain that this was a continuation of Star Trek. It was not a Saturday morning cartoon.
And we got Arix and Emrys out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a bowling alley.
And
Yeah, the bowling alley, the Kazinti. I mean, there's so many wonderful things that were inspired by this series. And oh man, and I definitely thought it was worth an honorable mention.
Absolutely.
Despite the fact that it did not make our surveys.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mikey.
Wow.
And thanks for everybody. That was an amazing year. It's been an amazing year. And thanks again to Alan for doing all of the polls.
Yes, thank you, Alan. It's beautiful.
Handling all
Thank
of the
you.
math.
Daddy. Papa here.
And we are looking forward to the next few months and build up a Star Trek Discovery that will be released in January. And Mike, any other announcements?
Yes, I'm going to play one right now. Star Trek, The Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the G&T Show. The G&T Show is proud to announce our annual fundraiser, 24 Hours of G&T 2016. This 24-hour live show will launch at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on October 29th, and will run straight through until noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on October 30th. All proceeds will cover our technology, website, and server costs for the coming year. This fundraising event will be jam-packed with guests, games, contests, prizes, most importantly, fun. Authors, musicians, artists, actors, podcasters, game developers, audio productions, and more will be joining us live. And you should too. Watch our website, www.gntshow.com, for more details, including our guest list and schedule, prizes, games, and more. Tune into our live stream on the GNT Show website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel on Saturday, October 29th, starting at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, for 24 hours of non-stop GNT Show fun. We hope to see you there. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Awesome. Sunday. So yay. Looking forward to that, you guys.
Sunday.
6 weeks away. And anybody else have any other announcements?
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, thanks to Alan for an amazing 50 for 50. It's been an amazing year talking about Star Trek and celebrating Star Trek's 50th birthday. We are very much looking forward to the continuation of the stories in the future. Stick with us, and we'll see you next week for episode 252. Until then, live long and prosper.
Kapla.
Take it easy, everybody.
Go Hawks.
Joe Lontrue, bitches. GNT 251.
Music for the GNT show is provided by 5 Year Mission, Enterprise Blues Band, Warp 11, Andrew Allen, and Greth Thor. The GNT show is a BLB production.
Move ahead, warp factor 10. Put a mini skirt on Mayo Man. Represent the human race. And we make space a happy place. To fully go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G travel to new worlds. Beam on down and meet some green girls. Gonna see what we can see. A fancy free galaxy. To boldly go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Come and take a tour with me. There'll be no cons or Kobayashi. Gonna travel to the end and make new friends with aliens. To boldly go where no man's gone before. Space happy. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. To boldly go where no man's gone before. Space happy. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G